Gale nearly got a flick on that.
Can he put it into the path of Partizan? He's thinking about going himself. Partizan and Partizan. Oh, that's a wonderful goal!
Now on to Benjamin. Just holding off of Benjamin, twisting, turning, that's it!
It's Liam Henderson to deliver. David Gray has scored.
Hello and welcome back to Down the Slope. You're joining myself and Liam once again in the Breakfast Club after a supreme result in Europe. Liam, I'm knackered, mate. How are you?
I'm fucking shattered, so tired. I didn't think that after making that intro video about 4 or 5 weeks ago that I'd need to add a new goal to it so soon.
Mate, let's just talk about Kieran Bowie for like 20 minutes, mate. What a fucking player.
What a shift. See last season when we were whinging about him only being able to be on the park for 60 minutes after a serious injury and questioning whether or not he was going to be able to do it this season. I think last night just dispelled that myth. He was like a man possessed. The number of times that we lost possession as well, where he ran back the other side of the opposing player to then get possession back last night. I dread to think what his wee what you call the wee bra thing that they wear. I dread to see what his wee bra thing was saying if it took it off. I reckon it had steam coming off it in the changing rooms. They had to give it a cold shower afterwards.
Oh, mate, his muscles must get a workout as well because he's just constantly gymming everybody off the ball. Like, he's just one of those players. He's so old-fashioned and fun to watch. Like, he just plays football the proper way. Like, he's a proper, like, big guy, wee guy, front two. He is the epitome of the perfect big guy.
Aye, did they sent a few of them to the gym yesterday, didn't they? It was quite enjoyable. I love an old school centre forward. I love a lot of old school things. And he was that old school centre forward last night. It was the big man, wee man partnership back out again. And the big man certainly delivered on the big occasion.
And just whilst we're talking about him, has there ever been a better goal you've seen in person? It was one of those ones that, I don't know if you've had this before, but you celebrate, then you take like a couple of seconds to be like, what did I actually just witness? Then you continue celebrating.
Very similar, to be honest, at the game. Best goal I've seen live, I think. My recollection is not as good as it once was, so there might be a one that I'm missing, but I'm pretty sure it's the best goal I've seen live. Celebration was just go absolutely mental for a couple of seconds, put your hands on your head, blink, breathe, and then go mental again, and like just slapping people on the chest and just amazement. Like, I've just still no idea. I've watched that goal now in the sort of hours that preceded probably more times than I've watched any goal ever. It's unbelievable.
It's one of those ones, it came at such an important part of the game because obviously when halftime came along, we were all a bit panicked, and then I don't think we were kind of hitting the ground running where we wanted to. And then it just looked like out of frustration he'd whacked the ball, but it ended up being fully intentional because he tried it again like 10 minutes later. It was just so uplifting. You know what I mean? Like, we don't Hibs so rarely, and we've conceded so many screamers so far this season, and we so rarely actually like score raspers like that. It's just, oh, what a goal. And everybody seems to be putting up on Twitter. So every time I refresh my feed, I've got someone else that's uploading it. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll have to watch it again then.
I know. It's funny. It's like those like accounts like that Crystal Palace account. What's it called? HLTCO. I don't know.
He
what
loves a bit of cabbage. Like,
I saw that he'd put up this morning, and I was like, oh my god! Like, and then you see all these other like accounts obviously see it and pick it up. So you do like you're forced to watch it again. You're not going to scroll past it without watching it again. I know what you mean. It was like a shot of frustration, but he's been trying. You know, he got ridiculed by that Hearts fan just like a week ago for taking that long distance shot against Dundee. He's obviously tried that, and to be fair, one thing that was clear to me from the game at Tannadice onwards, where he scored the second, the shot power he possesses is an absolute joke. Like if he was a goalie taking a goal kick, he would probably be like he'd probably be having a dig every time he takes a goal kick. It's genuinely insane the power he manages to generate. He's a fit boy. Like.
It was one of those ones when he was going off, like me and Dad were like, that is like, as an individual performance, especially when the rest of the team wasn't kind of on his level, that is one of the best like standout performances I've seen. Like, especially from a striker to be able to like, it's just the amount of times he takes in the ball, and he's got such good feet for such a big physique as well. He's got everything that you would possibly want in a striker, and he just makes me so excited. Like so far this season, I've been looking forward to seeing Dylan Levitt play football. Now it's Dylan Levitt, Kieran Bowie, and then we have to talk about the boy as well, Josh Mulligan. Oh my God, what a player!
Aye. The engine is phenomenal. The just desire to just drive through the middle of the park, which is, a really underrated and quite difficult skill. Just so many things last night and that he did, and he just kept on popping up in moments where you were like, oh, there he is again. Oh, there he is again. Like, the two of them last night, just the sheer work rate. I don't even really have the words to describe like how impressed I've been with him in the short space of time that he's been here.
Because I'll put the hands up. I thought he was going to come in and kind of be like a rotation option and be like that fourth man in and then try and earn himself into the first team. But he's been exceptional. Like I know we're like Triantis isn't there anymore, but he does feel like he's filled in quite a lot of the void that Triantis left in terms of just work rate and being able to win the ball back in midfield. So it's just so good. And I know, obviously, as soon as we get a player that's half decent, we're going to compare him to McGinn. But just the way he like bursts, like, when McGinn would have the ball, he'd take a couple of touches and he just completely drive with the ball. Like, he's got that air about him when he gets the ball near the box. I love players that get you on your feet and get you excited.
I do get the comparisons with the driving the ball. They're very different in styles, though, when they run with the ball. Like, Mulligan's quite upright, I think, whereas John McGinn used to sort of like have this really low body. I mean, he used to have a low body position all the time anyway, generally. But like, they are different, and I'm not sure how fair I think some of the comparisons are to the player. I do think maybe it puts a bit of pressure on him, but I think I can see why people are doing it because the ability is obviously there. The high ceiling is obviously there, and the impact he's having early on is a bit reminiscent of John McGinn.
Aye, no, definitely. And then this is random, but just one thing that John McGinn had was just he oozed personality. Like you were actually excited to see him. And did you watch Kieran Bowie's press talk with Gavin after the game yesterday?
Oh no, I've only watched the BBC one, I think.
Oh, right. He was on the pitch after the game, and just the way he was so enthusiastic and so funny. Like, that's one thing that I think will help massively with his career. He's just like a really one of the questions was about the second attempt at goal, and he started laughing. He's like, "Let's not talk about that one." It's just wee things, but I just think he's going to do like mega on socials, and like I think he's going to build a really good brand for himself as well as his performances on the pitch. So, two really exciting players.
Comes across dead enthusiastic to me. And like I know it's just how they come across in interviews, but he comes across a guy who's just really happy to be here, and I think that kind of thing always goes a long way with fans. I think about even some of the players that have had less ability over a period of time. If they find a way to build a connection with the fans, generally you get people inside and they'll stick with you more. I mean, even a recent example, I remember and. Folk will maybe laugh at this example, but like for the brief period he was in the team, like Alan Del Ferry, like being that sort of hype guy with the fans, it probably bought him a wee bit more time. You look at the player, he's obviously not gone on to do particularly well at Hibs, but that probably did win him some supporters, I suppose. Dubrovsky maybe would be another example in terms of the goalie. But I do think in terms of ability, there's obviously a big difference there. We're seeing the impact he's having. I did have to scoff a wee bit at that Celtic fan saying we could get him for $3.5 million. I think there was I think that decimal point was maybe included in error.
I was going to ask, I don't know if this is more suitable for a Monday pod, but we're chatting now anyway. Do you think between Bowie and Mulligan we can get upwards of 20 million between them? Or do you think that that's me just living in La La Land?
I just think that the value that Scottish football clubs get for their players isn't at a point where that would happen. Arguably, based on where they're at, it could, but still, it's still early days for the two of them in terms of getting the run in the team. I think we're all really excited, rightly so. But I think I think there's a lot of things that have to happen between now and next summer for to make that a reality. And part of what would help us enable us to do that is for them to play at a better level, and that better level would be the group stages of the Conference League. Like that's now the prize that's on offer. This is when we talked about this. Way back when in the summer, we were saying we just need to win 2 or 3 ties. We're now in a position where we have that opportunity to win that last tie, which is going to be really difficult. I know we'll preview that on Monday, but it's going to be against a good team, and it's exciting. It's exactly where you want to be.
Yeah, no, definitely. And one thing I don't think we should overlook as well is Partizan were a good team. Like there was times yesterday they played some really nice football. Like I know they've got a young core, but like we've just beat over two legs a very good football team. And like I think we should go ahead into the Warsaw game with confidence, not like demanding we win, but with the belief that we've proven we can do it.
Yeah, they played. I was more impressed with them last night, naturally, than I was last week. I think they did play a wee bit like a team that almost had nothing to lose, in the sense that the expectation was very much that they would go out the competition, having lost 2-0 at home. So they played a wee bit with the shackles off. But you saw when they got some of their passing moves together, they were really good at finding the space and identifying where the space was on the pitch. Because I was getting really frustrated towards the end of the second half that they were not cutting us open at will, but they were finding space a wee bit easier than I would like them to have in the centre of the pitch. And I was like, how are we not addressing this? But I think it is just because they had good footballers who were willing to take it in tight spaces. And that did cause us problems. But I thought some of the substitutions last night definitely helped wrestle back a wee bit of control after that madness at the end. Like I don't know about you, but in this time he was on the pitch, I thought Manny was a real standout as well. To call out other players, I thought he was brilliant, actually. Probably the best. I don't know how many minutes it ended up being, probably 45, 50 minutes or something in the end. Probably the best spell he's had in a Hibs shirt.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he just had such good close control. Like a couple of times, he strikes me as the type of player that if he starts well, he'll kind of keep that momentum going. And in the first pass he done, he took the ball, turned a player and then put it on, and I was like, oh, all right, Manny, this looks like we're going to have a game here. But yeah, he showed a composure I don't think we've seen out of him before. He has looked a bit nervy and stuff. So it was good in such a big game that he actually came in and just kind of put his mark down, because yeah, that's another type of thing. I don't want to call out the fans, but obviously it was frustrating going in 2-0 at halftime. But I don't think booing the players was the right, to be honest.
No.
We're in Europe and we're trying to get to the next stage.
I know.
Does my head.
Aye, and Jordan Smith didn't get a great reception and stuff like that as well. I found that difficult last night, to be honest. I wasn't particularly vocal about it, but I did say outwardly, that is not helping anybody. And there were people around us and stuff who were booing. I was disappointed at that, to be honest. I think this team has earned us to stick with them more than that. More than one bad half of football. And two bad errors from the goalie as well, but a goalie who was pretty good for us, let's be honest, second half of last season. I just felt like the players deserved and had bought a wee bit more patience than the fans offered them. But what was good to see, mate, just to move on for the fans a wee bit, was I picked up on Rocky Bashiri going over to Jordan Smith. I hear people talk about kind of leadership. It's been debated a lot the last couple of decades in a sort of Hibs context. That to me is leadership. Is not necessarily doing it by shouting and bawling at someone, but by going and letting someone know that you're there and letting them know that I don't obviously not party to the conversation. I would imagine it was words of reassurance last night, which I think is absolutely vital in that situation.
And it definitely helped as well. I think even into the second half, Smith just looked like he had a lot more confidence. He looked completely shocked going in at halftime, which is fair enough. And from my perspective, I've seen quite a lot of people saying that Gray had us playing too negative. I think first half, the objective was don't let them get any chances in the box and let's just frustrate them. They can have shots as long as they're not dangerous. And realistically, it was two bad mistakes from Smith. And I think the game plan worked well, but you're never going to doubt individuals and you're not going to account for individual errors in that. So for me, I don't actually think Gray got it wrong. But in Smith's defence, I think he bounced back brilliantly. I think from 70 minutes onward, he made maybe 4 saves that were fantastic saves, regardless of the mistakes he made at the start. So fair play to him for bouncing back. But what's your thoughts on how Gray set us up?
I don't think he necessarily got anything like overly wrong. I think I haven't seen too much of the criticism, so I'm going to guess that the criticism is that he thought we were too cautious. I think that's fair. I didn't love seeing Josh Campbell down the left-hand side, to be honest. I think he does his better role in more central, does his better work in more central areas. But other than that, there wasn't really loads that I would kind of pick out that was irritating me. And I thought, I said it earlier on, but I thought the adjustments he made later in the game were good. weren't perfect, but you have to remember that there's 2 teams that are on the park and they're adjusting at the same time as we're adjusting. And also, in some respects, they had something to then throw away when they got to 2-0. But then when you get a player sent off, then again, they're in a position where actually they can sort of throw caution to the wind again. So the game, because of everything that happened within it, and there was a lot that happened last night, like a lot of incidents, it ebbed and flowed and it changed, and you have to react to that as a manager, and it's a difficult thing to do in that scenario.
Yeah, definitely. And then is there any other individuals you want to... I want to say Ellie Yuan. I think Ellie Yuan's been really good. I think coming off the bench, he always does at least 1 or 2 things that just make me laugh in big games. Like, I don't know if you remember towards the end of extra time, he just skinned the boy for literally no reason and started doing wee skills in the corner. Sometimes you just need a player to take the sting out of it. I think that actually breeds confidence in the rest of the team that, we can be brave on the ball and we can actually still do things even though we're trying to hold a lead. But I thought, as you say, Yuan and Mane for me were the 2 players off the bench that I thought kind of made a really good impact.
Yeah, Yuan, Mane off the bench. I think Rocky and O'Hora from the start. Rocky with a couple of good, not quite last ditch, but almost last ditch moments, and then one actual last ditch moment. O'Hora's continued to be really solid. I am starting to get a wee bit annoyed at his throw-ins. I think we should just take them short if we've not got a proper long throw. Let's just take it short. I don't think we need to do that all the time. I know it's about playing the percentages and stuff, but I know I think he was good. I think those would be the key ones. I think if you were going to maybe pick out negatives, I think Jack Iredale's we had an exchange on this last night. Has continued his quite shaky start to the season. I would say, he's not had any. Well, the Dundee game probably was a howler, but he's not had lots of really bad moments, but quite a lot of what are you doing? Well, that one last night where it broke to him and he kind of tried to play it in the air when he didn't have to. He had time to take a touch and get away, and he just scuffed it completely. And that put us under a lot of pressure at a time where there was already quite a level of anxiety in the ground. That was not good.
Yeah, because I think he brought in stability last year. He just kind of brought in a level head at the back, and I don't actually think I'm being dramatic. I think it's 5 times he's underhit a pass going backwards that's led to an opposition team. There was 2 times at the weekend, once against Dundee, and once yesterday. Or it might have actually been 3 at the weekend. He just needs to give the head a wobble and just be like, I'm Jack Iredale. This is not part of my fundamentals, because he's obviously a very good asset for the club, but geez, we can't be having him making consistent mistakes like that. But one player we've not mentioned, and it would feel ill to not mention, he obviously missed a sitter at the start of the game. I don't think there's any sugarcoating that. But great composure, is sticking the winner, Chris Cadden. So happy for him. I'm not sure what the thumb-sucking celebration was, but he seemed happy, so fair play.
That was the suggestion of a baby on the way, isn't it? I think he got married fairly recently, or was it or maybe it was his twin that got married recently. So I'm going to make a leap and suggest there's maybe a baby on the way. This young guy sits next to us at the games, and we've talked about for weeks now, longer than that, weeks, months, maybe even years, about how Chris Cadden's never the guy that you want chances falling to. It's like a kind of thing you didn't want him falling to him. That one last night, we just looked at each other, we didn't even need to exchange the words, and then I wasn't with him at the time when he scored the winner, but Chris Cadden's not going to miss that.
No. It was just such it was one of those ones. When you watch it back, it was like the heavens opened for him. He had a massive chasm to just whack the ball into, and he drilled it. And I was like,
do you know what was wild? Because I decided at 100 and odd minutes to then run the length of the pitch after he'd scored it as well. See, if that was me, I probably would have stayed just in front of the stand. I was at maybe kissed the badge or something. Very low key celebration. There's not a chance I would be running at that stage.
Fair play to him. But that from Mulligan again, really, because I thought, being honest, I thought Hoylett struggled quite a bit yesterday. It was one of those games where nothing was coming off for him, and then me and Mikey were like, "Gee, he needs to wake up." And then he skinned the boy, played it to Mulligan, who skinned 2 boys and almost scored, and that laid off the goal. So that's sometimes you just need players that will bring moments of quality, even if they're not on it.
Hoylett's one of those quite high risk players where he takes the ball because of the areas of the pitch, takes the ball, but the things he tries as well. He is capable of throwing in a 3 out of 10 performance, but still having a moment of magic within that 3 out of 10 that you go, oh, that's just gone and won us the game or won us the tie. You know, like he is definitely capable of that because of the quality he's got. But it was a sub I was calling for as well. It's a perfect time for him to come into the game. But it's Mulligan, really, isn't it? That it's Mulligan that creates it, really, through his drive and his tenacity at that stage of the game. The Partizan player must be going, how is he still running? How is he still running?
Oh, it's so good, man.
Can we have a wee conversation about volleys? I know we've kind of covered the Kieran Bowie goal already, but I love volleys. Like, they're my favorite. I was saying to you before we recorded, aesthetically, they're my favourite goal to watch. If I could watch a compilation of only one type of goal from now to the end of time, it would be volleys. Where does that rank in your favourite volleys? Not of games that you've been at, because I think we're both in agreement, right, that that's the best goal we've seen live. I think we're both going to say that, aren't we?
I think it's a relatively similar theme, though, even in our intro video, because you've got the Jack Iredale volley, you got the Lappy volley. I do think there's something special about, like, because for the Bowie one, does it bounce first? It does, doesn't it?
How do I not know the answer to that when I've watched it 1,000 times?
I'm pretty sure, but like even the goal that Kilmarnock scored at the weekend, it was one of those ones, obviously, like Craig said it on the pod, we hate conceding them, but like you can't also, it's that aesthetically pleasing. You can't just not be like, wow. Like, it's what, you know, when you play football when you're younger and you know the ball's there to be hit. Like, I'm shite, so that ball's going miles over the bar, but you can't not hit it. It's so satisfying when you see someone. So yeah, volleys are definitely at the top for me. Like, I love overhead kicks as well. Like, I really saw, like, you know, Wayne Rooney's overhead kick against Man City. Like, that's the type of goal. But I suppose that can kind of count as a volley.
It's a version of a volley, I suppose. The volley, there was an era in, not to get all Barclaysmen about it, but there was an era in the English Premier League where there was just guys scoring volleys for fun. I think it was a type of ball at the time. So there was a guy called Matty Taylor, who didn't have a particularly distinguished career, but played for like Bolton and Portsmouth and a few others, and he scored an absolute raker. I think it was against Sunderland, but and it's not a club that I'm a fan of by any stretch of imagination, but Tony Yeboah's volley for Leeds against, I'm going to say Wimbledon, but it might not be, and I should maybe have done my research before this. Like those, like that, Paul Scholes against Aston Villa as well, the one that's clipped out to the edge of the box and his goal against Bradford. Like, I love a volley. That was a very different type of, because that was like an angry volley, as you described it. Like last night, it was like, I don't know what sport you would like compare it to. Maybe like something in track and field, like what was something you'd throw with anger, like a discus or something like that in track and field, where it's just like a launch. But then we hit with such precision that it enters the goal in that position. Like, no goalie in the world is saving that, like, regardless of starting position.
Ken, another volley, just also shouting out volleys. Robin Van Persie's when Rooney pings it 60 yards forward. That's one of the best ever. That's.
I think the thing with that one is he watches it for such a long time. Like, we all know how hard it is because in essence, watching the ball adds more pressure, whereas Bowie's has just kind of gone over his head, isn't it? Like, it's over his head, and it's just an instinct one. So good, man. So good.
And the thing I was saying though about Bowie, like, because he seems to like shooting from range, that'll keep keepers, like, they'll be less more hesitant to actually come out and try and collect the ball. So I know it's like the one against Kelly Lass on the weekend, and then the second attempt yesterday, obviously not ideal, but at least the keepers are going to be like, shit, I can't come off my line, and this guy's going to try and chip me. Like,
I know, so good. Kieran Bowie, like, I just don't have any other words. I don't have any words to talk about him. I'm also
Kieran Bowie, Josh Mulligan, David fucking Gray. That's my three names I'm going to drop to you that I think deserve most of the plaudits from yesterday. Just sensational. And if we get to the group stage, is that David Gray kind of cemented in top three managers in 21st century, or would he already be there?
I've got to say, probably because of the vibes of last season, he's probably already there. I think about how, if you remember the discussion we had, there was sort of a unanimous top two of, or was there? No, there wasn't even a unanimous top two, was there? Because it was like McLeish, Mowbray and Stubbs when we had that conversation a couple of summers ago. I don't know, to be honest, mate. I think it's an easier thing to assess when the tenure's over, because then you can look at, you're not living in the moment. But group stage is huge, but it's going to be tough.
But if you want to know how tough we think it's going to be, then you'll need to listen to us. And hopefully we'll have a full gang back together. I don't know if Ewan's going to be back from the chocolate factory by Monday. But if not, then you'll have me, Liam and Craig to chat to you on that. Anyway.
Travelling straight from the chocolate factory to Warsaw, I think. Is his plan currently.
That's only if he gets time off from what you got, Willy Wonka. But you never know. You never know. Right, well, Liam, thanks so much as ever. And guys, thank you for listening. And we'll catch you next time.
One